Arsenal fans seem to be growing increasingly frustrated with the delays in their transfer business in comparison to their competitors like Manchester United, who have already completed the signing of Matheus Cunha from Wolverhampton Wanderers, while they have already placed a second bid for Brian Mbeumo from Brentford. The likes of Liverpool, who did complete the signing of Jeremy Frimpong from Bayer Leverkusen, while they are close to sealing a deal for Florian Wirtz and from the same club, and Milos Kakes from AFC Bournemouth. Meanwhile, Chelsea have already announced the signing of Liam Delap from Ipswich Town, while Arsenal, who think they need to be quite intentional in the transfer window, seem to have had a slow start to their transfer window. Welcome back to the Football Tribe UG channel. Robert Kesakos is your usual suspect. Welcome back to yet another episode on the Football Tribe UG channel. Thank you to all our new community members. Thank you for subscribing to the channel. Thank you for supporting our work. Thank you for helping us grow. We do really appreciate your efforts in trying to support what we do. Anyways, today we are discussing Benjamin Sesko. Benjamin Sesko to Arsenal and why there has been a delay in that particular deal. Now, over the course of the transfer window, which hasn't been by the open for long, because we have had an initial early opening of the window between June the 1st until June the 10th to allow clubs that are going to be participating in the FIFA Club World Cup make player recruitments and then have their squads confirmed, because during the course of the tournament, while they will be allowed to sign players, they will not be allowed to add them to their squads for that competition. So that's why we did have an early sort of transfer window for 10 days. It will shut on June the 10th and be reopened officially on June the 16th. Nonetheless, even clubs that are not going to be participating in that competition, like Manchester United and Liverpool, are already making deals happen, while Arsenal fans watch their club remain in contention for multiple players, but not really making headway on any. But specifically tonight, we're going to be discussing that deal for Benjamin Sesko and why there has been a delay over the completion of that deal. In fact, Arsenal fans have been told that they may have to wait until at least July to see some real progress. For example, in the particular case of Martin Zubimendi, apparently Real Sociedad want to record his transfer on the books of their new financial year as opposed to the one that they are just about to close out. So that is being a factor. And you never know, it could also be Arsenal's intention that they do want to start their business in a new financial year. Whether that's true or not, but the fact is the matter that Arsenal are yet to sign a single player. Now, in the curious case of Benjamin Sesko to Arsenal, first of all, RB Leipzig have a very good relationship with Benjamin Sesko, so it's not like they are desperate to sell or the player is desperate to leave. In any case, he did just sign a new deal last summer amidst interest from the same side in Arsenal. So that good relationship between the players camp and the club sort of puts them at very much ease to say, we're not in a rush to sell, we're not eager to make business. It's not a similar situation like maybe the one you have with Victor Osimhen and Napoli, whose relationship has since broken down before even the start of last season, and then we saw him go out on loan to Galatasaray. So that kind of thing. So you're looking at two parties that do have a good relationship. In any case, I think RB Leipzig would even be happier to keep the player for another season. Then the other issue is that RB Leipzig have known about Arsenal's interest in the 21-year-old Slovenian international to be a long-standing, interest. It dates to as far back as the previous summer, where they tried to sign him. Of course, the player decided to stay with RB Leipzig and continue to develop. Went on to sign a new contract. So, and then Arsenal went back for him in January. RB Leipzig were not willing to entertain any offers whatsoever for the player because they were still literally trying to fight for their lives. In as far as the German Bundesliga is concerned, they wanted to qualify for those European places, which eventually they fell short at for the first time since 2016-2017. So, them being confident, well knowing that Arsenal's interest in the player is quite solid, that is quite long term, has been there, also puts them in sort of in a comfortable seat to say, we will take our time negotiating this deal because, I mean, he is your primary target. It's been widely reported. While Arsenal in their own books may have other alternative signings to Benjamin Sesko. It's been well documented, at least across the transfer media, that Arsenal's primary target for a striker at this window or even previously is none other than Benjamin Sesko. So I think RB Leipzig take solace in knowing that Arsenal have Benjamin Sesko as their priority target. So regardless of what happens, especially now that the window has only just opened and it's not like we are in the last 10 days of the window, they do not look to be in any form of rush whatsoever to try and negotiate and get this deal over the line. That puts RB Leipzig in a very, very strong position. Then the other thing is about the release clause, because I know Arsenal fans do sit back and wonder and say, but it's been reported that the player has an 80 million euro release clause in his contract. Why not just trigger that and, complete the transfer, just like Chelsea did in the case of signing Liam Delap from Ipswich Town, or similarly, like what Real Madrid did in the case of signing Dean Howson from AFC Bournemouth when they triggered that £50 million release clause. Man United have just done the same thing when they triggered the £62.5 million release clause for Matas Cunha from Wolverhampton Wanderers. So Arsenal fans are wondering if it is being reported that he has a release clause in his contract worth 80 million euros, then why not just activate that and get the transfer done? Well, it's not that simple, because according to recent reports, that release clause might have changed, whether it was time bound in itself or it had some achievements or it was fluid in its very nature. The particulars of that are not really known, but it is not cast in stone that it is as simple as 80 million euros. In fact, over the last couple of weeks, we've had some reports saying or suggesting that the fee for Benjamin Sesko could rise up to at least £93.5 million for his potential suitors. While that would be sort of an exaggerated fee or perhaps an overvaluation of the player himself, who is only 21 years of age, who last season could only manage to score 13 goals and provide 5 assists in the German Bundesliga, is a totally different question. But at least we've had those reports. Now, based on that, it simply means that there is no such thing as a release clause being cast in stone. It's a bit of a fluid situation, with the fee potentially rising to up to 100 million euros. What that essentially means is that Arsenal do need to sit on the negotiating table across their partners on the other side in RB Leipzig to try and negotiate a fee, to try and discuss out this matter to say, okay, this is your valuation of the player. We were informed that earlier on his maybe release clause was 80 million euros. We do now understand that you want more because you're in a strong position. So let's try and negotiate. We are willing to offer maybe 60 million euros. And then RB Leipzig says, hell no, we're not taking that. Maybe improve on your offer. And then Arsenal would come back maybe with another offer, maybe 75, maybe 85 million euros in guaranteed fees and add-ons and that kind of thing. So the fact that they have to sit on a round table and negotiate the way Liverpool have had to do with Bayer Leverkusen over the potential transfer of Florian Wirtz is exactly why Arsenal have equally not moved so much ahead in terms of these negotiations to try and get this Benjamin Sesko deal over the line, well knowing that he is their primary target for a striker in a transfer market where strikers are on a very high demand, and yet the availability of those top strikers is quite limited, because we can point out on our fingers here how many prime strikers there is on the European scene present day. You could look at Victor Gyökeres at Sporting Lisbon, Hugo Ekitike at Eintracht Frankfurt, well documented that Chelsea and Liverpool are interested. Benjamin Sesko being one of the hot cakes. Nobody is going to go and pursue Robert Lewandowski from Barcelona, but at least he's an example of a prime striker on the European scene. Dusan Vlahovic at Juventus looks like nobody is even mentioning his name, and yet 2-3 years ago he was the hot cake on the market. So you look around and really those options are very limited. It's not like Man City are going to wake up and let Brad Erling Haaland leave. It's not like Real Madrid are looking to let go of Kylian Mbappe. I mean, that's the kind of situation you're dealing with. There have been some reports linking Liverpool with the potential signing of Gonçalo Ramos from PSG. But again, he's not another prime example of a striker in their prime. So that clearly tells you of how the market is sort of short on supply. And perhaps it's because of that very reason that Arsenal fans may think that their club needs to move really move fast and beat their sort of opponents or some of their contenders for the same striker to his signature. So basically, that's what I do think personally. At a personal level, what I do think that is sort of getting this deal delayed. Those negotiations are not always that simple, but also putting in context or bearing in mind sometimes the calculations of these clubs when it comes to the accounting departments. You could be looking to do a deal early, and yet negotiators on the other side are saying, yes, while we've agreed it all, you're going to have to wait. Our financial year closes on June 30th, and so we want to do this business into another financial year which begins maybe on July 1st. So you'll have to unfortunately wait until that time for us to, get the job done. Now, of course, even during that period, you also stand the risk of somebody swooping in and try to make a steal. I mean, we've seen these kinds of things happen. We've just seen what Real Madrid have been able to do to PSG in the negotiations of that River Plate player. Because of delays in executing that deal for Franco Mastantuono there from Liverpool, and Madrid came in basically last minute and wooed the player away, and looks like he's destined for a move to Real Madrid from Liverpool, and he won't be joining PSG. So those kinds of worries are there, but also all those factors do come into considerations to justify why Arsenal have sort of delayed in being fast forward to try and complete this deal for Benjamin Sesko. But latest reports are quite promising that the player is now even keen to join the Gunners, albeit personal terms are yet to be agreed, but those negotiations do continue between the player and the Arsenal camp, while also negotiations between the two clubs are also continue to advance. Anyways, that's it for me. Do not forget to subscribe to the channel and like, comment, and share, but also continue to watch our content and share it. Thank you so much. Robert Kesakos is your usual suspect. Peace. Bye-bye.